Because an underdog has got nothing to lose. An underdog fights for every inch. They work harder, stay longer, think smarter. Underdogs don't give up. They'll do the difficult things, and they never ever get complacent. So, write 'em off if you like. Sit back and dismiss 'em. But if there's one thing I know to be true, it's that Britain loves an underdog.
Please welcome to the stage, Rishi Sunak.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It is great to be with you tonight. Now, I'm standing here in front of you for one very simple reason, and that's because our country did something extraordinary for my family. It welcomed them here as immigrants years ago and allowed them to build a better life in Britain. Now, I was raised with a few simple values. First is that family means everything to me. Because we as Conservatives know, don't we, that the bonds of family are far greater than anything any government could ever hope to replicate, and we must never ever forget that. Now, in my family, we prioritised hard work as the way to forge ahead in life. My dad was an NHS GP. My mum ran the local chemist in Southampton, where I grew up, and I spent all my time working in her shop, out and about delivering medicines to patients and doing her books, seeing the power of that small business to provide jobs in our local community. And for my parents, there was one thing that they believed above all else would be the way to provide a better future for their 3 children. And it was simple. It was through education. And that's why today I passionately believe that the best way that we reduce inequality in society, the best way that we spread opportunity, indeed the best way that we transform people's lives, is by ensuring that the birthright of every child is a world-class education. So, and that, in a nutshell, are my values: patriotism, family, service, hard work. And I know, as I look out at you, that those are your values too, and that's because they are Conservative values. And that's why I want to be your Prime Minister, to put those values into action to build a better Britain. But how are we going to do that? Well, I believe we need to do 3 things. First, we need to restore trust. Then we need to rebuild the economy. And we must reunite our country. Now, when it comes to restoring trust, for me, that starts with honesty. And as you can see in this leadership race, I have not chosen to say the things that people may want to hear. I have said the things that I believe the country needs to hear. And even if that doesn't make my life easy, it is honest. And for me, that is what leadership is all about. But we'll also restore trust by delivering on the things that matter to people. That's why I've set out a plan to finally start reforming the NHS, so that we can talk less about how much money we're always putting into it and more on the healthcare that we want to get out of it. It's why I want to take on this lefty woke culture that seems to want to cancel our history, our values and our women. And it's why we need to restore trust of communities right here by calling out the failures of the Labour Mayor Andy Burnham, because it simply isn't good enough. I mean, Just look at the record. A police force that was put into special measures. The highest rates of knife crime almost across the UK. Now, I will make sure that the police have the powers to do their job, and whether it's stop and search or other, I will never let political correctness stand in the way of keeping us safe. And we saw him again today. A day of strikes, of Avanti cancelling trains. And whilst the Conservative Party was sticking up for hard-working families, the Labour Party and Andy Burnham were on the side of the unions, and the British people deserve better. But also, we need to restore trust back into our planning system by putting you, local communities, in charge of the development that happens in your areas so that you can protect your precious greenbelt. And it's why I've set out a radical plan to finally get to grips with illegal migration. Because for too long we've turned on our TV screens and seen the scenes of people coming here, boats illegally, and it is wrong. Now, when it comes to rebuilding the economy, I don't need to tell all of you what the problem is. You know that the challenge is inflation. Inflation is the enemy. It makes everyone poorer. It eats into people's hard-earned savings, their pensions. It pushes up mortgage rates. And this autumn and winter, I will make sure that we support especially the most vulnerable through what will be a difficult period. Cutting VAT off energy bills, but going further for those who need more help. But what I will not do is pursue policies that risk making inflation far worse and lasting far longer, especially if those policies amount to borrowing £50 billion and putting that on the country's credit card and then asking our kids and our grandkids to pick up the tab, because that is not right. Now, I will cut your taxes, and I will cut income tax, because I want to make sure that under a Conservative government that I am privileged to lead, hard work always pays. But I'm going to deliver those tax cuts responsibly, by being tough on public spending and by growing our economy. And that's why this autumn I will radically change how we tax businesses. Cutting taxes for those businesses that are doing the right thing, investing in expanding their manufacturing plants, innovating to create the products and services of the future, because those are the tax cuts that will drive growth in a modern economy. And I'll also continue investing right here, levelling up in town centres and high streets with new transport infrastructure, making sure that we spread our R&D money across the United Kingdom. And as someone who was proud to vote for Brexit, we need to make sure that we capitalise on it, and that means cutting EU red tape. That's why I created the brand new Brexit policy of free ports and put one right here in the northwest. I was a Chancellor that delivered for the North, and I will be a Prime Minister that continues to deliver for the North. Because in 2 years' time, we have to reunite our country. We have to do something special, my friends. We have to do something that's never been done before. We have to win a 5th general election in a row. Now, even though that is making British political history, I believe that working together, all of us can do it. But it is going to require us to appeal to swing voters everywhere, in the north and in the south, in Brexit areas and Remain areas, Liberal areas and Labour areas, in Wales and in Scotland. And I firmly believe that I am the candidate that offers our party the best opportunity of beating Labour and ensuring that Keir Starmer never walks through the doors of number 10 Downing Street. And in conclusion, let me just say this. You saw me as Chancellor in the pandemic, acting boldly and radically to successfully safeguard our economy through the biggest storm in 300 years. Now, as Prime Minister, I promise you, I will apply that same urgency and grip to every other aspect of government to build a better Britain. A Britain where our children can walk safely on the streets at night. A Britain where our NHS is reformed and efficient and there for everyone. A Britain where our schools and apprenticeships are the envy of the world in providing opportunity. And a Britain where our economy is the most dynamic it has been, creating jobs in every part of our United Kingdom. But I also promise you this, perhaps more importantly, that I will give you my all to ensure that each and every one of you here tonight can always feel enormously proud of the Conservative government that I will be privileged to lead. So I humbly ask for your support, not just to be our next party leader, but also the next Prime Minister of our great country. Thank you.